Kate Nilafalcha, welcome to Irish Granny Helen. And ordinarily, this would be our Tuesday kind of funny conversation between Nate and me to try to elevate everybody's mood, I guess, lighthearted, try to entertain a little bit. And he had to go. We ran out of time. So I told him that I would be brave and do it on my own, which won't be anywhere near as funny, but I'll do my best. So the thing that I wanted to, well, I'll talk about the small thing that didn't seem all that big of a deal, but I was hoping to get some choice comments from Nate. In Ohio, a 105-year-old nun celebrated her birthday by playing a round of golf. And she's quoted as saying, "It helps you to know yourself." And the question I had for Nate, which I thought was utterly hilarious, was, did she wear a skirt and a visor? And the answer is, because I saw a picture, the answer is no. She wore white capris and a baseball hat. And it's pretty remarkable at 105 years old that you would have the wherewithal to get out there and play golf. But if I should live to be 105 years old, please God, don't doom me to golf on my birthday. That's all I can say. The reason I thought this was a clever segue into the topic I really wanted to talk about was her outfit, skirt, visor. I want to talk about Fashion Week. This is one of 4 fashion weeks. Apparently, Fashion Week is Fashion Month. They spend a week in New York, a week in London, a week in Milan, and a week in Paris. And the big 4 cities having to do with fashion, at least Western fashion. Not cowboy, Western European civilization fashion. And I'm sure sensibilities and styles are probably quite different elsewhere on the planet, I would guess. I don't know. I'm not exactly like your source for all things fashion. Trust me on this. But I wanted to look into it because I do enjoy watching things like Project Runway. And I have mixed feelings about them because I really enjoy the creativity. I admire the stuff they come up with is always astounding. I usually don't like what they do, but I'm always astounded at the imagination and the creativity that people in a very short period of time, under an awful lot of pressure, often they only have one day. I could barely thread a needle in one day. So I'm very impressed. On the other hand, I find it really disturbing how mean they are to each other often. There's a lot of ego and it's a competition, but it gets really ugly and kind of backbitey and unpleasant. It makes me uncomfortable. I would love to see them do creativity shows that weren't contests, but Anyway, I decided to look into this and I got some interesting information about these Fashion Week shows. So let's say you go to Fashion Week in New York. So for the entire week, there are all these scheduled shows, famous designers, unknowns, winners of things are going to do their presentation of their show. The reality is most of them are almost impossible to attend. So you can get a ticket for $65 general admission, but it's only good for a couple of select small venues. You don't get access to almost anything. Most of the events are by invitation only, but you still have to buy a ticket. It's not like you're invited and it's a party and you just go. You are invited to buy a ticket. And the tickets start at $6,500. Now, what does that include? You get luxury accommodation at a fancy hotel. You get, now I don't think that it pays for that. I could be wrong, but I think it's just entree into this world. You get a personal concierge person to, I don't know, wait on you hand and foot. I wouldn't know. You get what's called a black car, which is a limo, which delivers you to the show. And you get a luxury gift bag with cosmetics and stuff. And you get a front row seat. So all those people that you see at fashion shows have paid close to $7,000 or more for the honor of sitting in that front row. It's kind of a mind-boggling thing. Also, the models don't get paid. This is like an honor to be able to be a model at one of these shows. So I looked it up. Where does the money go? Where does all this money go? So it goes to the organizers, whoever they are. I'm guessing it depends on the venue. So if you do it in this place, this person in charge of organizing it here will get part of the money. But it also goes to the designers, and it goes to celebrities and influencers who are asked to come because by virtue of who they are, they attract a crowd. People are more likely to go buy a ticket if they have a hopes of seeing somebody famous, I guess. I don't know what this says about the human race. Nothing good, I don't think. I think the creativity gets lost in the schmoozing and being seen and just having others know that you can afford to do this. And then we need to talk about fashion in general. It's fun. You know, it's fun to decorate yourself. It's kind of a human impulse across cultures globally. People have always liked to gussy themselves up. But it has become a source of income for these big businesses, corporations, you know, like Wexner's The Limited and The Gap and I don't know, I don't even know the name of famous, Dior and Dolce and Gabbana. These people make a fortune based on their styles, and the more you can get people to buy, the more money you make. And so what do? They tell us what we should be wearing. So you don't want to look like you're wearing clothes that you should have been wearing last year. You want to wear clothes that are different, that you just paid for. Which, I don't know, I find this really difficult to wrap my head around. I think it's crazy. I have one criterion for clothing. Well, two. That it fits and that it's comfortable. Everything else is secondary. And I suppose 40 or 50 years ago, I would have been more inclined to worry about what other people were wearing. Now, I just can't think of anything less important in my life. So they appeal to the young. They appeal to people who are, and I'm not saying all young are like this, but they appeal to the young, and they appeal to people who are concerned about what others think about them. They appeal to people who feel, for whatever reason, a need to project an image of some sort. I will say this. I was in Chicago and I went to the museum there. I forget the name of it. The Art Institute, I think it was. And they had an Edith Head dress, and you could kind of look at it up close. And as somebody who sort of sews, it was astounding to look at the workmanship that went into this dress, because it's all bespoke. It's all made to fit a particular person, and it's made by hand. It's not mass produced. And the quality of the workmanship that went into this dress was just, it was astounding. And if you don't sew, I don't think it would mean as much, because if you've never struggled to do a buttonhole, or you've never struggled to do a lining properly, or, you know, these things can drive a person stark raving over the edge. And when you see the precision and perfection of the hand sewing in one of these designer haute couture, you know, made top cut, is what that means. It's fascinating, so interesting, very impressive. And which brings to mind, I'd like to recommend some videos on YouTube, and I can't remember, so helpful, can't remember the name specifically of the video, but they're not hard to find. There are a number of different places where they preserve old clothing. So they have colonial dresses. They have the outfit Marie Antoinette wore, or they have clothing that belonged to Queen Elizabeth I, and just really old clothing, and that has been preserved and repaired, and they talk about the history of it, and they give you a close-up look. I was in a museum a while ago, you know, when I went out in public, where they had, it was Egyptian stuff, and they had clothing and fabric from, you know, I don't know how old it was. Now I can't remember, but let's just throw out a name like King Tut. Old, very, very old. So there was this remarkable notion that this outfit, this, you know, whatever it was, something very simple, this was worn by somebody that long ago, and it lasted. I can't keep, you know, a shirt without getting it stained for like a few months. So it was astounding, the pristine condition it was in and how beautiful it was. And the weave, to look at the linen and how it was woven and realize how long people have been capable of doing that kind of thing, it puts it in perspective. So the next time you go to spend money on something to wear to one party, think about the work that has gone into some of these older clothes. Maybe you can get a vintage outfit instead. And then finally, I just thought I'd mention, this may be the last video I make, because it's my understanding that the rapture might happen today or tomorrow. Okay. That's all I have to say about that. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Sorry, Nate had to bow out, and we'll be back next week. Everybody take care of yourselves. Slungafoil, sluncha.